From a young age, I was captivated by the sight of trucks. Their immense size, roaring power, and commanding presence on the road fascinated me. I remember sitting in the back seat of my parents' car, eyes glued to the highway, eagerly waiting for a big rig to pass by. And when one did, I pumped my arm up and down, hoping that the driver would see me, blast that horn. And when they did, it was the best feeling in the world. A secret handshake between me and the open road. Even then, I knew trucking was something special. How many of you knew from a young age what you wanted to do, but let fear and others talk you out of it? Maybe someone told you it wasn't realistic. Maybe life got in the way. Well, that was me. I watched trucks roll past my house and imagined where were they headed? Were they driving across the country, seeing places I had never been? Were they out on the open road, free from the everyday routines that seemed to confine everyone else? I didn't just admire truckers. I wanted to be one. I wanted to be behind the wheel, to feel the hum of the engine, and to be a part of something bigger than just myself. But dreams have a way of getting buried under weight, responsibility, and expectations. As I got older, that dream started to feel just like that, a dream. I let doubts creep in, and worse, I let the opinions of others steer me away from what I knew deep down what I wanted. People told me trucking wasn't a real career, that I'd never be home, that it was dangerous, that I should go to college, get a normal job, and play it safe. So I tried other things. I went to school for HVAC. I worked in sales and customer service for years. I convinced myself I was making the right choice. But here's the thing about dreams. You can't outrun them. No matter how much I tried to push trucking aside, it always found a way back into my thoughts. I would see a truck on the highway and feel that same childhood excitement, followed by regret for not pushing or pursuing what I truly wanted. And then there was the moment when I almost took the leap, but I didn't. I was living in California at the time, and I had found a company that trained drivers by pairing them with an experienced trucker for over-the-road training. It sounded like a opportunity that I've been waiting for, especially since I would be paid for the time while I was learning. I was finally going to do it. My wife drove me to the hotel where I was supposed to meet my trainer and start this new chapter of my life. I even walked into the hotel room where I was supposed to share with another student, ready to commit to the process. But something felt off. I couldn't put my finger on it. I looked around the room and saw everything where the guy was there. It didn't feel like the right way for me to start this journey. My wife lingered outside, and we were on the phone, both of us hesitating. We wanted this to be the right move, but everything about the situation felt wrong. And then, in one of the toughest decisions I had made up to that point, I packed my bags and walked back out. I didn't give up on trucking that night. I just realized that the way I got into it had to be right for me and my family. That's an important lesson. You don't have to take just any opportunity that comes your way. The right path isn't just about what you do. It's also about how you do it. And that's something I want all of you to think about. Trucking isn't just one size fit all. Some people thrive as company drivers with the security of a steady paycheck. Others take the leap into being an owner-operator, managing their own truck and business. And some even go bigger, building fleets. So let me ask you, have you ever felt like something was meant for you, but you hesitated because the way forward didn't seem right? Have you ever looked back at an opportunity, only to realize later that there was a better way to get there? What if, instead of giving up, you just needed time to find the right approach? I didn't give up on trucking. A few years later, I found the right way for me through CDL school, but I didn't regret that night in California. It taught me that while a path might be right, the way you take matters just as much. And then came the moment that forced me to reevaluate everything. My wife needed to make a career change. We needed stability. And for the first time in a long time, I stopped listening to doubts and started listening to myself. I took a leap and signed up with a local school to get my CDL. I needed to do something that wouldn't take a long time to obtain, but would increase my pay within a short period of time and allow my wife to make a career change we knew was needed. Looking back, I realized I should have trusted myself sooner. But trucking just isn't about making a career change. It's about embracing a new way of life. It's about stepping into an industry that has been the backbone of America for decades. And it's about recognizing that every choice we make on the road, every mile we drive, shapes not only our future, but the future of this industry. Making a decision is one thing, living it is another. When I finally stepped into my first trucking job, I thought I had it made. I had my CDL. I was ready to hit the road, and I imagined myself behind the wheel of a big rig, cruising down the highways, feeling the sense of freedom I had always dreamed about. But instead, I found myself carrying couches. My first job in the industry was with a moving company, and while I did get to drive a little while, the main job was moving people out of their houses, hauling furniture, lifting boxes, and navigating tight stairwells and mattresses and dressers. I remember the one day, particularly brutal day, sweat dripping down my face, back aching, and I stood in the middle of someone's half-packed living room and thought, why in the world did I get my CDL to do this? I had earned my license to drive, but here I was doing the same manual labor as the guys who had not. Sure, I was making a bit more money than the other movers, but at the end of the day, we were all doing the same exhausting work. This couldn't be it. I started asking myself, did I make a mistake? Is this really what trucking is about? How do other truck drivers get into those better jobs? And at that moment, I realized something important. Just having a CDL wasn't enough. I had the key, but I didn't know where the door was. So I made a decision that would shape the rest of my career. I started talking to truck drivers that I came across. If we stopped at a gas station for a break, I saw a trucker nearby. I struck a conversation up. I asked the drivers about their jobs. I wanted to know everything. How did you get into your job? How much experience does it take? What kind of pay are you making? Would you do it again if you had to start over? And networking became my world because I quickly realized something. Trucking isn't a straight path, and no one teaches you the roadmap. What I learned from those conversations was invaluable. I started seeing the different routes truckers took. And some went into LTL, less than truckload. Some found cushy local gigs. Others took the leap into owner-operator life. The jobs I wanted existed, but I wouldn't have found them if I had not put myself out there and asked those questions. That first moving company job, it wasn't what I imagined, but looking back, it was a job that made me realize that you have to seek out the path that fits you. No one's going to hand you the best opportunities. You have to go looking for them. As I got more comfortable behind the wheel, I thought the hardest part was behind me. But trucking isn't just about driving. It's about endurance. The first moment I thought, what have I gotten myself into? Was when I started working at Coca-Cola, waking up at 2 a.m. to unload the truck of Coke cans and bottles. Picture that, knowing you had to unload every bottle by hand. I wondered if I could sustain it, not realizing that I just started at an entry level in trucking. I woke up many mornings barely able to move due to the physical toll. My muscles ached, my hands felt like they were stuck in a permanent grip, and my back screamed in protest. It took a pep talk from my wife to get me motivated to go out and do it all over again. Some mornings, I seriously considered bringing the truck back halfway through my route, telling myself, this can't be what I have to do for the next 30 years. My body will break. Then something changed. I started talking to other drivers at stops, asking about their work, learning their experiences. That's when I realized some of these drivers never touched the load. They backed up to the dock, and that was it. My mind was blown. I had assumed that touching freight was just a part of the job, and I needed years of experience before I could move up to these positions. But here are guys doing it now. This led me to explore larger companies like FedEx, which is where I landed after Coca-Cola. FedEx is where I got my first taste of what it was like to drive without having to unload the freight. It was a step in the right direction, but I quickly realized that something was missing. I had been in the union at Coca-Cola and missed the security and structure it provided. Then I started hearing about openings at UPS, the company every driver in my position aspired to work for. When that opportunity came, I seized it, knowing it could refine my career, and it did. At UPS, I gained more than just driving experience. I learned how vital it is to understand the full operation of the industry. I learned about the importance of networking, of building relationships with dispatchers, warehouse workers, and fellow drivers. I learned that trucking isn't just about getting from point A to point B. It's about the people behind the scenes who make everything happen. It was during this time that I truly started to understand the industry on a larger scale, and I realized that trucking was evolving faster than many of us were ready for. As we navigate the highways of our careers, it is impossible to ignore the rapid advancements transforming our industry. Technologies like artificial intelligence, AI, and automation are no longer distant concepts. They are here, reshaping the industry of trucking. A recent McKinsey and Company survey revealed that fully autonomous trucking is expected to be operational within the next 4 to 7 years. This progression brings forth a mix of excitement and apprehension. The International Transport Forum predicts that up to 70% of trucking jobs could be at risk due to the automation. That's a huge statistic. And I know hearing those numbers like that can make anyone in this room uneasy. But let's stop for a moment. Think about all the times people said that trucking was dying. How many times we've heard this industry is about to collapse. Yet here we are. Trucking isn't going anywhere. Goods will always need to be moved, and we, the people who keep this country running, are still here. That doesn't mean that we can ignore change. It means we need to be the ones leading it. While automation may handle certain tasks, the need for skilled professionals who can manage complex situations, ensure safety, and provide the human touch remains indispensable. No amount of AI can replace the experience of a seasoned driver making a split-second decision in a snowstorm. But here's the reality: change is coming, whether we're ready or not. The question is, are we going to fight against it or learn how to use it to our advantage? We have two choices: resist or evolve. And I encourage each of you to think about this. Stay informed. Know what's happening in the industry. Read about new regulations. Follow industry leaders. Don't let yourself be caught off guard. Seek training. If automation is coming, how can you position yourself as a leader in the new trucking landscape? Upskilling isn't just for office workers, it's for us too. Ask questions. Talk to your company about what changes they see coming. Ask how you can get involved. Don't wait for the answers. Go find them. Collaborate. Build relationships with other drivers, dispatchers, and industry professionals. We are stronger when we work together. Technology is not the enemy, it's a tool. And just like when we first started driving, there's a learning curve. When electronic logging devices, ELDs, were introduced, some drivers fought against them. Now, most of us rely on them. This is the same situation. We just need to be ahead of it, not behind it. Beyond technology, trucking is evolving in a more significant and positive ways. Organizations like Truckers Against Trafficking are proving that truckers can do more than just deliver freight. They can change lives. Our industry has become one of the most critical forces in the fight against this crime. Think about the impact that we have. Each of us has the power to protect someone's life simply by being aware and taking action. Have you ever considered how your awareness on the road could directly impact someone's safety or freedom? But positive change doesn't stop there. That's also why I started my podcast, That's Delivered. Early in my career, I had countless questions and struggles to find answers. I spent so much time networking, asking questions, and piecing together information from every source I could find. I realized many others, both new and experienced drivers, were facing the same challenges. I wanted to bridge that gap. That's Delivered was born from the idea that we are stronger when we share our experiences, challenges, and insights. On the podcast, I discuss the many different jobs within the trucking industry, highlighting the diverse and talented people behind the wheel and behind the scenes, and showcase their programs designed to help new drivers enter the profession. My goal is to provide a positive voice, to uplift and educate, and encourage people to pursue their dreams regardless of doubts or criticism from others. Because here's the truth: taking that first step isn't always easy, especially when you're surrounded by uncertainty and negativity. But each story shared, each lesson learned, and each voice heard makes the trucking community stronger. That's Delivered is my way of contributing to that community, to inspire people like you to embrace the road ahead. Despite the words of others, what steps could you take today if you choose to listen to your own voice rather than the doubts of others? I challenge you, reflecting on my journey, I challenge you to consider what dreams and aspirations have you set aside due to fear and uncertainty? The excuses you make, the doubts that creep in, those things don't go away unless you take control. Before you leave here today, I want you to think about one thing you've been afraid to take a leap on and promise yourself you'll take action on it. The perfect moment may never arrive. Trust your instincts. Take that bold step and own your future. Thank you for allowing me to share my story. I'm Trucking Ray, signing off.